So now you have a really ugly background. But I mean, after you spend like 16 hours on a project, like sitting at your desk for 16 hours straight, yeah, you kind of enjoy this background. No one else likes it except for when they come by and like, oh wow, that's pretty awesome. Like, yeah, you work like that? Yeah. Oh, they get real disappointed real quick. It's fun. So here's some of the basics on how to 3D model. We're going to start off with the very, very basics. This is kind of a representation to show you what the different views represent. Everything's about referencing another thing and looking up in the upper corners here. This is kind of, I forget how the default view is. I think it's like that. You don't get any objects in the middle. This is what the program I'm using, and you can also try downloading and following along. Retail price for students is like $100 something, and then full price is like 400 maybe. I forget exactly how much it was, but 3D model or 3D modeling softwares are all pretty relatively like expensive if you're not going to do it as a business. So if you just want to learn in your spare time, I'd recommend using a program called Google SketchUp. It's it was free. I don't know if it's still free, but it's definitely the cheapest option. You can also use a bunch of other programs are in there. You can start using it through AutoCAD. I think AutoCAD has a free trial of this stuff. I think you can start going through AutoCAD to do this stuff. I think it's called Inventor or Fusion, one of the two. I think they're both 3D programs, I'm pretty sure, but one of them's free and one of them does what we're doing. AutoCAD in general is a very bulky software, and when you're using it, it feels really slow and clumpy. Rhino3D is the advantage to that or using it is it's just easy to use once you learn it. All this stuff looks confusing. We learn to ignore that. We go to layers. Layers is like your best friend. Like Photoshop. If you know how to use Photoshop, you're going to do fine. You're going to do real fine. If you don't know how to use Photoshop, I'd recommend learning that. You know, there's GIMP out there. GIMP, I mean, that's a free Photoshop-like program. I'd recommend using Photoshop because it's just better. But Photoshop is expensive. They have student packages or whatever, like Adobe Air, I think. It's all there's always a way to get what you need. So we're gonna go over the four windows that you get by default in most programs, or it's usually like an option up here in the corner. You can choose different views and everything. Rhino3D gives you separate windows to do it, and you can drag out these windows to do some cool stuff, and you can make them like an entire other window on your computer, like if you have multiple monitors. It's really cool. I like it. It's simple to use. The interface is just perfect. Keyboard shortcuts perfect. Everything about it's pretty simple and easy. What we're going to do, since we're American, we're going to switch this over to Imperial, which is all in here. You're going to have all your scales in here, your units. So since I come from an architecture background, I like to use inches. Um, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to we wanted to do this, and we wanted to go here. We wanted to go inches. We want to click OK. We want to click No, because we actually don't care about the size of these. We just want everything to be in scale with what it is right now. So now that we're in inches, we can start measuring stuff, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at the moment. Basics, the absolute fundamentals of this program are over here in your right or your left bar. You're actually only going to use these probably, and you're only going to probably work in 2D. This is your perspective view. Difference between this and like perfect dimensions is you can't take this measurement here because it won't be the same length as this because it's a perspective drawing. So if you've taken art, you know what perspective drawing is. If not, perspective is just a skewed view. It's through a lens, like a camera lens, so you'll not be able to take measurements off of it. We have a different view. That's for another time. We're not going to go with perspective. You also notice that there's a bunch of these views in here. Normally what you start off for Rhino 3D is this view, wireframe. Wireframe's absolutely useless. It's a nightmare. Just don't deal with it. Go over to shaded. It's the best. So that's going to be your perspective. We need perspective to tell what the other windows are viewing. If we look at this, we can tell our Y and our X axis, especially in the bottom left corner. It's in all the corners here, so you'll be able to tell. You can rotate it like that, so you can actually tell like the directions. Z's are up and down, unlike in SolidWorks. SolidWorks is another program, great program. Not as good as this one, but it's a great program nonetheless. I think in SolidWorks your vertical is Y, I think. I think your axes are X and Z. I don't remember, it doesn't really matter. As long as you know what's up, like what's up. So, top is obviously going to be your top. You can see the correlating, matching shapes here. And then front is going to be your X and your Y. If you think of graph paper, your positives, your two positives on your 2D graph, you're just going to look at the object from the front. This is called your plane, it's the bottom, it's the floor. When you go into the front view, you have front view. I don't know how else to explain this, but you have a front view. You can see this view here. It might trick you because you can see like that right there. You can see all those lines through it, but in this image you can't. But if we turn it to wireframe, because that's what all the other windows are, you can tell, yeah, okay, that makes sense. You just have to trust it sometimes. I mean, it's the only reason you need front window or even right window is so you can draw a vertical line like that, because when you're drawing in the 3D perspective land, you can't ever really draw a straight line. I mean, there's cheating ways to do it, like that's flat still. So that's the only reason you ever need front, unless you're going to make like a 2 or a 3D object, then you can just go like that and you're going to get a vertical line. Anyway, so right would be what you'd think of it. If this is the front, you go to the right of the object. Let me just delete these. You're going to go to the right of the object, it's going to match up. And there's also another window called left and views. It's called left. You switch it to that. It's now the left view. You can't control Z these window views, I think. I don't remember. I haven't tried. Nope, you cannot. You can absolutely not. What's great about Rhino3D versus a lot of other C# modeling programs is that Rhino3D, the copy-paste command, is actually your regular copy-paste commands. So your Control X will cut something out of the thing here. So if you do Control X, it's going to delete the image, or it's going to delete the object, and then we can Control V it back in. Control C will just leave it there, make a copy, then we can Control V it. You can't tell, but there's multiple circles here. Yeah, I know, it's all overwhelming at the moment, but we'll get over it. So those basically go over your windows. We're going to work in perspective for now because I have to show you navigation, because it's hard as the hardest thing to do in any 3D program, even for me, is figuring out what the controls are, just to navigate the entire screen. The most complicated program I've run into is Maya. Maya from Autodesk, which is just a common theme, Autodesk. I dislike them greatly. You have to click your options over here to go from like pan. Like they're different tools, so you have to click on something over here and click on pan, and then it pans it like this. Then you have to click on rotate, then it rotates, and then you have to click on the zoom feature to zoom. No, I don't think so. You can zoom. Scale, that's what it is. You'd have to do that here too, but luckily we have this thing. And this thing, this colorful object here, is called the gumball, and it just basically represents all three axes. It gives you rotation here. It gives you rotation on all three axes. It gives you scale on all three axes, and you can scale it uniformly. And you can. It's just an amazing tool. You can move it in all four axes, like just perfectly along those axes. If you grab this thing, you can move it freely. You'll never use that. This is the devil. And this little ball here does a lot of random stuff that you'll never have to touch. Oh yeah, now we got this full screen. I forgot to mention that. You can double click these and that'll make it full screen. And then you can double click it again and it'll make it not full screen. And if you want to navigate your windows without having to go out and over, you can just click these down here, or put your mouse right on these things and scroll through them. So you can scroll through all your views. You can also control tab. Yeah, you can control tab and control shift tab through them. So it's like any other part of your computer. It's like your Chrome browser. It's like your computer. So the navigation is really intuitive. But what isn't intuitive, and you have to get used to, is how to navigate around this object. By default, your left click will select things. If you want to deselect them, you click off of them. And your right click, if you hold and you drag it, it'll just drag it around. It'll pan around your object. Not pan, it'll rotate around your object. and it's always centered to whatever you're looking at. So if we center that into the middle of the frame, that's what happens. And if you want to zoom in like that, the command's called, you can just type in ZS and it'll zoom in like that. What I do is I mapped the zoom selected button to my middle click, I guess, my mouse button, or my scroll button, and it is now my zoom in button, which is really helpful for when you're navigating stuff and you're trying to like just focus around it and rotate around it, because it'll rotate right around that center point of the object, and that's just invaluable for a modeler. You're also going to have to deal with how to pan. Like you see me randomly panning like that. Like pan is also the same button as your rotate. So the only difference is you have a modifier of your left hand, and it's going to be the shift button. So you're going to have to hold shift on your keyboard and hold right click, and then you got yourself your pan. And what's nice about Rhino, which I don't think AutoCAD does, is when you go to the left or to the right, it just infinitely scrolls. So you can just keep going as much as you have space for on your desk. So holding shift and right click will pan you, and then holding right click will rotate, and then clicking and then scrolling up or down will zoom you in and out. So it's pretty amazing. Your gumball is going to be in these options at the bottom of the very bottom of the screen. You're going to see a lot of stuff like grid snap, ortho, planar, O snap, smart track, gumball, record history filter. I think by default you have nothing on, so you can't do any of this. You want to turn on smart track. I don't remember why. I think it's so you can look at the history of your movements. You want to turn on gumball, and you want to turn on O snap. O snap will let your objects snap together at their vertices or their lines. So like if I grab right here, it's a near point. So you just snap it to like the end, or you grab this corner and go right there. So it's a really convenient thing, so you don't have to like use numbers and stuff, and you can visually do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of math involved, but you can do it visually, which is kind of how math is developed anyway. So you're kind of doing reverse math, I guess. I don't know. You talk to a mathematician about that, but what I'm going to show you is how to use the program, basically. So now that we've figured out navigation, we're going to move over into 2D. We're going to go to top, because that's normally what you'd navigate in. Your best friend, no matter what you're working in, 3D or 2D, is going to be this Polyline. You don't need the... If you just mouse over it, it'll show you like what it does. So left click is Polyline, right click is going to be line segments. You don't want line segments because you could just cancel out of a polyline, so it's the same thing. If you click... Oops, double clicked. So if you right click, just a solid right click, it'll be like hitting the enter button. Space is also an enter button. They give you a lot of chances to use enter, which will do the last command you did. So you want to click down, that'll give you your starting point. Now this line has a free, completely free, relatively free movement here. You can place it wherever you want, and the slope of this line will be whatever you need it to be, or whatever you visually need it to be. If you want to make it go orthogonally, which is just 90 degrees, you're going to hold shift, and it's going to go like this, and it's going to go 90 degrees all the way around. This is the most useful thing you can do, because for some reason everything, if you don't want to have a headache, you need everything orthogonal. So you're just going to click it. It's orthogonal now. It's orthogonal to the, it's actually parallel to the X line. I'm not going to say it's orthogonal to whatever. It's a 0 degree line. And what's fun about 2D versus 3D is if you hold right click and you go like this, you can't rotate, because you can't rotate in 2D, right? Like, it's pretty amazing. If you want to rotate, like, oh man, I want this box on top, you just highlight it all with your gumball. See? You hold shift and it makes it orthogonal again, so you can rotate by 90 degrees. So if you want to do 180 degrees, you do that, and now you're looking at the other side of it, flipped upside down. So like, it's really simple in 2D. Like, you can hold shift and do it still, so you know you don't get out of the habit. But it's just easier to remember that you don't need to hold shift when you're working in 2D. You can also click on this little curvy line right there, and it'll give you this little rotation thing, and it'll ask you, it'll just let you put in something here. Now this is where most people have no clue what to do. I had no clue what to do when I first used it. It's kind of intuitive if you know how to use the program. Like, you can use it across all programs. So you're like, oh yeah, I know what that is. It's a command line. It's a mobile command line. It's what this is up here at the very top, but here instead. So what you enter is a degree. You're not entering in radians or not entering anything else. You are entering in a degree number. So you can go up to anything you want because it doesn't care. It has no preference. You can go negative, you can go positive. So if you want a 45-degree rotation on this line, you just type in 45 and enter, or right click. I don't think right click works. Let's see. 45 right click. Oh, it works. Oh, that's new. I didn't know that. But that's all fine and dandy. But if we want to get into the real meat and potato, like this, so far, there's no math that we had to do. There's no commands we had to enter. 3D modeling and 2D drawing, I guess, is all about entering in commands. You can click all these stuff. You can go through all these menus, or you can like memorize the 6 commands you need to do anything in this thing. Like you need to memorize more and functions and stuff, and hiding stuff will also, like, that's advanced stuff. But for now, all we need to know is 6 commands. We need to know our polyline, which is over here, so we don't need to do anything. You can make a shortcut for that. Your program, if you just Google how to make a shortcut in whatever program you're using, it'll let you know. Easiest way I found is, like, you could go through here, go like something here, properties, or something. There's something in here. Or easiest way, I don't remember that way actually. So the easiest way is go to object properties. Wait for this thing to load up. Oh no, it goes right here. That's embarrassing. So if we go to properties, regular properties probably? Yeah, properties. So we can see the oh, that's where, God, my shortcut. So if you right click down here where we change the units in the very beginning, we can go here. And then we want to go to keyboard, 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 keyboard. Aliases. We're going to go to aliases. These are all my aliases. You can copy them down if you want. They're for me, so you know it's not going to do you much good to copy them. But this is based from my left hand for asdiff. I use it on asdiff. So A for me is trim because I use trim the most. I'm a trim master. Like, there is no one I know that's better at trimming than me. But it's also a very ineffective move. It takes the longest to do. And quite frankly, you can do a lot of other commands that do the same function, and you can do it smarter, and you can do it more accurately. So we don't need to really use it. I'm just going to go over like the custom ones that aren't already set for you. D is Polyline. This is the one that you use the most. This is the one I use the most. I put it on D because my middle finger is next to F, which was the first command I set, which was Planar Surface. And this is the like input style you'll need to do. You need to do like parentheses. No, you need to do a I'm not an English major. Apostrophe. You need to do apostrophe underscore and then the command name, like how you actually enter it in, like the full name of it. So you're going to type out your command that you don't know because you're just going off of it from the top of your head, whatever. But you're going to have to enter it in this format, like apostrophe underscore explode, which is the command I like, which is explode. It explodes objects. Polyline, that's the first command over here that we showed you. Some commands are obvious, some commands aren't. You have to kind of really just look at it. I don't use S, but S is the snap. You could do Control S for save. It's just like any other program. What else did I do? A, D, F, those are my main keys I use. I never use E. I usually type out explode. Or do I use E? I don't know. It's second nature if I do. ZS right here is for zoom selected. I think I entered that one in. I think that's default. I don't really remember. But if you want, you can pause it when it's uploaded to YouTube and you can just copy it all down, whatever you don't have. For other programs, I have no clue how you do it, but this is how I do it. There's also another area where you can do this. I think it's in keyboard. Yeah, keyboard. So you can set a bunch of stuff in keyboard. This is probably the craziest place that you can do things. There's, I think, every button combo that you can do in here. Like there's every non-standard key that in here. So like in the other screen you could only do letters. In this screen you can do all the other keys on your keyboard. I only have some for my rendering software that I use when I usually render like a giant architectural render, but I don't use that lately because I'm not doing that big of a thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really using any of these. But if you really like to use like Control A or Control M or Control Z, not Control Z, don't get rid of Control Z. These are the things that save you. I mean, if you want to do anything though, you can program it here. So that's covering shortcuts. You want to customize just enough shortcuts for yourself. Everyone's shortcuts are different. You're going to find something differently comfortable. If you play League of Legends or something and you're used to the QWERTY or the core setup, you do that. You set those keys up. If you're used to WASD for some reason and you want to make your shortcuts those keys, do that. It's all for what you personally feel. You're going to have to get used to that because you're going to find out which ones you're clicking the most over here and you'll be like, okay, I need that one. So, all up to you. So we covered navigation, we covered windows, we covered align, which you need, we covered rotation, basic gummy features. If you hold control, you can do some weird lofting, and I just that's dumb. Don't ever do that. Just Control Z back to the original thing. I don't like that. I don't like that feature. Next, we're going to cover drawing a square. Yep. So there's multiple ways. There's 100 different ways to do everything in this program. So, you know, figure out your own way. The fastest way is going up in this corner right here. It's the rectangle. It's called rectangle, corner to corner. Everything has this like little corner here that you can click on to give you alternate options. We're not going to worry about that. We're just going to click on the default one. So what you're going to do is you're just going to click with the left click, you're going to hold shift, and then it gives you a square. It gives you an automatic square, just like in Photoshop. Click. Which is actually probably why I prefer this program over AutoCAD, is because I learned how to use Photoshop before this. So then you have your square, right? Like, that's cool, but like you have this thing right here, right? Like, oh, whoa. Like, you know, that's a part of that, but this is all one object now. Like, whoa, what am I going to do now? Like, what if I want these 4 lines individual, or I want to edit them individually? What you're going to do is you're going to do that command I was talking about. You're going to do explode. You're going to have to watch out because it auto-fills in stuff, and you can use the down arrow to go through all these options, but usually the top one is the most recent one, or the most frequently used one you use, so you can press explode, and now you have 4 different lines in the same shape. If you want to make them go back together, you can do 2 things. You can type in join. I think there's like some long sequence of buttons you can press to do join. You can do join, or now it's exploded, so it's, you know, separate pieces again. You highlight it all, and you can do Control J, which is join, and it's the default command for join. So now if I click on any part of it, it'll be 1 square. You know, if I click off it and move it, it's all 1 square. But if we want to, I keep remembering one thing I want to teach and then I keep forgetting it. Selecting! Duh! Jeez. So selecting is just like Photoshop. If you don't know how to use Photoshop, sorry again, I'll explain it. You left click on it. That's it. That'll select it. You don't right click because it'll unturn your last command. If you want to get out of the command, you see it appear in the corner. It's bold and it has the key thing. Yep. Vocabulary is my strong suit. So you press escape, you get out of that, no problem. You can also just right click, but some commands don't need you to like select anything for you to cancel it, so, or to use the function, so it'll just automatically do it, and you're like, oh man, and you have to go Control Z and everything. Just press escape. It's easier. Left click selects the object. No matter what the case, or no matter what's going on your screen, it'll always select something. If things are overlapping like this, we're just going to drag and drop that into there. So if things are overlapping, you can't see anymore, you click on it, now you have 2 options. How you select these 2 options, either mouse over and you click it, or use a scroll wheel to scroll through all your options. I use a scroll wheel because usually where my mouse is where I need my mouse to be. So I like to scroll, do that, and then you can grab the end, click and hold. It'll grab the end, and then it'll snap to any point. It'll snap to the default ends and the middle. And if you have 2 points, okay, if you have 2 points like this, the middle. See, like you can't get any of these other points besides like perpendicular. That's cool. But if you get this little white thing on that point that it auto snaps to, you can now get the middle point of those 2 points. And if you want, you can really like deselect that and get the middle point of those. Cool, awesome. Really just not anything interesting. Just you need to know that, because if you need to find the middle of this square real quick, you can turn on these buttons down here, which are all things you want to select. By the way, you want to select end, near, point, mid, sen, int, perp, tan. You want to select all of those. That's it. The rest should be unchecked. And I'll let you do what I'm doing right now with all the dragging and dropping default points. Center will let you get to the center of an object. Kind of reliable, kind of not reliable. If you have a lot of overlapping shapes and such, it gets confusing, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to deal with that. So we're just going to drag that back out. So now selecting. You've seen me do that, and you've seen me do that. You haven't seen me do this. But you don't know what the difference is. I understand. So in every 3D modeling program, you have the selection feature, which 9 times out of 10 is the same for every 3D modeling program. It's the same for Photoshop. A lot of programs have this. If you drag from the upper right, or just from the right to the left, it'll select the object. Whatever objects happen to land inside this dotted box will be selected. No matter how much of it's in that box, it will be selected. So, if you only want to select all like 3 objects, like the circle, the line, and the square, and the wardrobe, there you go. Now, if you want to select everything, you don't have to select that whole box inside the selection. Let me go over there. You don't have to select all that to get it all selected. You just have to do that. Get the bare minimum. You can go like that inside the box, inside the other box. It's all handy dandy. But if you just want to select one thing, like this square inside this box, like you want to select all that, but it's like, oh no, I'm selecting the box. How do I not select it? Besides doing the obvious of that. But don't worry, this is a demonstration. So, how you would select, kind of a better example, how would you select this box out of this circle? Like, you can't do that because you're always going to select the circle. Can't do that. You could do that, but let's ignore that part. So you gotta select this box. So how do you do it? Now the opposite feature, which some people may pick up on, is you drag from the left to the right, and you have to select the whole object inside your little drag box, because then that'll select that thing, and only the objects that are completely within that square that you drag will be selected. So let's try it again. If we don't do the whole entire square and we get both of them in there, nothing happens. But right to left, everything that touches the box or inside the box gets selected. So it's really useful for selecting like really detailed things. It's not as useful in like when you're in 3D modeling, but when you're in 2D, it's pretty convenient because you can get right inside this object right here and do that, or you can do this. So then you're not selecting this object. I mean, it's all, these are the basics. Movement and selecting, those are basics. So like you can't select that box by going halfway through, but you can if you select the whole thing. If you want to select all that from left to right, you have to do that. You can't do like half the thing, or you can't do just half of that, otherwise you'll just get whatever's inside. Right to left, doesn't matter what, as long as they're touching that object, it'll be selected. Back to drawing shapes. Man, this is really well constructed. Circles, easier than you think. You click on the circle icon right there below your polyline. You click on down, and then you can drag it out to any size you want. And up here in the upper left, you can either, let's just go with this for now. You can click on whatever you want to like affect. Like if you only know the circumference of the circle, you can type that in and it'll give you the circle. If you only know the area of the circle, you can type that in. So it's really helpful for like designing buildings and stuff, or doing other stuff that you might do with this program. I don't know. You can also do orientation and all this other jazz, but what we're looking for right now is radius. So then, that's only if you know, just back in like math, you only know the radius, which is from the midpoint out to the edge. But I usually work in diameter because I know the full dimension, so I just, do that. And so that line now represents the entire thing that you enter. So if you want to do like a circle that's an inch long, you just type in an inch and you do that, and now it's an inch. That circle is an inch. If you export it right, it'll continue to be an inch all the way till it's real. But you can do, there's a lot of bad things you can do for exporting whatever. I'm sure you can figure out save, Control S. Ooh, I almost missed. Control S will get you out to like here and stuff. Yeah, here we go. This is non-crucial, I guess. If you got out to here, you get it's just the basic saving system, so just, save. I don't know what else to tell you. We're not going to save this. So we know how to make a circle, we know how to make a square. If you want to make a circle that's fits inside the square, you go over here to circle, you find the center point, press escape if you mess up. Center point, you go there, you got that. You want to do, instead of the square inside the circle, you do that. There you go, now you got a really interesting design and you didn't do any work. See that? And you can just select them one by one. There's trim features, but we don't need to learn that right now. I mean, that's really all there is to that. I mean, you can enter in dimensions also. So you click the origin point right there. Then you can type in like 1 and then 2. So now you have a 1 by 2 box. I mean, that's cool, right? I like that. And then you can also do like, if you tap Alt key, and then you just go over there, you can copy it like that. That's cool too. You can highlight both of them, Control CV, and just drag it over, and now you have a copy of it. You can select both of those, grab that, and move it over. Now you have them all lined up. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, that's 2D navigation. And then if you look at it in 3D, you'll notice that everything we draw is along the plane. So everything's always at 0 in terms of Z. So you don't have to worry about them like stacking up. But if you're drawing in 2D and 3D, ooh man, you're in for a world of hurt, because now we're going to deal with like layers of them, like that. So now you got a circle that's up in the air, and then it's just a headache. You'll figure out how to deal with that and stuff if you just keep working with it. We're going to talk with layers now, though, because you'll need to learn this. This is something you can learn in 2D. So we want to make this inside circle blue or something. So you can rename whatever this is like you would in Photoshop. You click on this box, that black box, it gives you all these options. So you click on blue. I'll make it blue. Oh no, wait. We click on this first. You can right click on the layer that you're on, then change object layer. Now it's blue, yay! Now another option that you can do is, now we're going to do like a yellow. Yellow will burn our eyes out. Oh, don't do yellow in Rhino because the default selection color once you click it is yellow. So you'll never be able to tell if you selected yellow. So we're going to do red instead. The other way you can do is you can do back in properties, which is where we opened up to, and you can click on layer here. I'll say default and all the other ones we named, and you just click on the red one, and now it's switched layers without you having to right click and kind of think about it. All this other stuff isn't really necessary unless you're doing like shop drawings or something. I don't know. If you need to do shop drawings, you probably know how to do them, so I'm not going to really go into full detail about that stuff. I mean, you can figure that out. But these are the tools you'll need. New layer is this one right here, new sub layer, so you can make a layer within the layer. So now this is the group and this is the layer again. That's the difference between it and Photoshop. That you can't just make a group and stuff everything into the group. You could, theoretically, like you could drag this and put it right over and it'll make it a sublayer. You can do that, and each sublayer can have its own color, but you know, eventually you get too far. You can turn off the entire layer. So if you want to turn off red, you could turn off red. It'll turn off everything in red. It won't delete it, it'll just turn it off. So over here you'll see that everything's hidden. Blue's hidden. Defaults. So this check mark is the layer you're on. So if you draw something, it'll be in the color of that layer, and it'll automatically be put into that layer. And you can't turn off the layer that you're in. So as long as you select right in this little tiny column here, it'll auto change. But if you double click, it'll change it. So I like to stay on default to do all my drawing, and if I need to change layers, then I'll start doing that after, and I'll start rearranging everything. You do that early in the file, so then later as you get on, when you copy and paste stuff, they're all in the same file. So like if we select this red one, it won't change our default layer, but we can copy and we can move it. Nice. We can move it, then we can paste it, and it'll paste back into where we copied it from. And that's red still. It's still in the red layer. If you click it, we can tell it's in the red layer by going to properties, and it says layer. This is a div. And it'll also tell us close curve, which is all stuff you don't really need to know. Once we get into 3D stuff, once we get into 3D stuff, we can start selecting stuff. And we can start doing a planar surface. We can add a planar surface to it, and then it'll make a surface. And that's the main difference between Rhino and Solidworks. Solidworks gives you a solid object that you start carving away at. So at certain points it becomes a little difficult to deal with stuff. If you're a machinist, it's a perfect thing to work with because you always work in, you know, whatever. You always work in thicknesses and such. But as a designer, as a 3D designer, that's a hindrance more than it is like a, you know, godsend. Like, oh, I don't have to close the object. It always auto closes, and whenever I chop away at it, it's always like, it's always the command that I use. You know, it's always this or that. Instead, how I think is, oh, there's nothing here. So if I need to make, it's kind of the same way. I construct a solid object, or I construct a plane, and then I start carving away at that, and then I can start filling it in as a solid object. So the process is different, but the fundamentals are all the same. Like I can make a box, like a cube out of that surface, like this thing, which was just this cube command. Just cube, boop. You can make it as tall as you want. And then off of this, you can start chopping it and stuff with planes. This is advanced, but anyway, back to this thing. You can make stuff out of this. This is a 2D object. This isn't real in the real world because it has 0 thickness. You give it thickness by making it into an object, by doing this thing. By default, I think the back side of your object is the same color as the front side, but you can change it in your settings to be like mine, like blue, like obnoxious blue. That's cyan, but you can change it to be an obnoxious color, so whenever you see it, like, oh, that's the inside of the object. So if you click on the display tab, or you go into your settings over here somewhere and you find it, I think you type in display actually. Display properties, if you go down to it, you'll see it, and you've got the same window, but it won't be the tabs, it'll be a different thing. You get all your options. All you want to do is go over here to object settings and go to color back faces, click it on yes, and then choose your color. And it's the same process for picking everything. You can pick RGB, or you could do your whatever these values are. I forget. Actually, they're all, doesn't matter. You can't do hexadecimal, I've learned, but you can click on these. These are pretty cool. Then all these tones, all these things and gradients, you'll use them if you're trying to do like subgroups of main objects. It gets really useful when you're dealing with like larger scale projects, but not me. I don't even think I have a file that I could show, like a good one. Now we're going to showtime, not showtime. We're going to show and tell. I guess we could go over what I can do rather than what you can do at the moment. If I go here, no. think it's in there. Yeah, so right here. So all this was this main building right here. This was designed in Rhino. This sidewalk and everything too. I mean, these were kind of just skipping out because we didn't want to find grass textures, and we were just, it was finals time, we were in a rush, we just said, alright, whatever, that's a good enough scale. At a certain point you have to just give up and you have to just start rendering, and so we rendered this thing. It was one of my projects. I really like it. I like how it turned out. It was used with a different program. This was also designed in Rhino. It's the same building, just an interior shot of one of the parts. So you get a basic idea. This is a rendering with third-party applications, all this stuff. So you could do a lot of stuff. You have to do a lot of the footwork yourself to get to those points, but there are default renderers and other rendering programs that are cheaper. You need water. But I mean, overall, it's pretty much just simple stuff. You don't really need to worry about anything. It's all provided for you. There's a render feature in the tabs of here if you want to try out a semi-rendered view. It takes away all the lines and everything, and it gives you simple shadows. It's kind of cool. I like it. You ghost it so you can see that, like, if an object's inside an object, you don't have to go all the way into the object to see it. There's a bunch of other stuff. There's technical. Technical is just a pain. See, it basically draws the drawing for you. It's, it's no fun. There's artistic, which just puts it on a piece of paper. It makes it hand-drawn and stuff. I know some people that actually use these settings to draw on. My other computer that I do mainly, or I work in mainly, has a really beautiful, like, vomit of color for the background. Because it's gray right now, you can change that too. I'd hate to tell you how, but you can do that too. Now, I don't remember how. There we go. So you do a gradient 4 color, which now gives you 4 colors to mess around with. So if we want to get really vomit-inducing, we can do cyan. We'll do the bottom right, bottom left, I mean. We'll go into like an orange. Nope, apparently not. We'll go into like an orange over there. More yellow. Go right there. This corner can be like more of a dark red. And this bottom right corner can be like maybe more of a yellow. So now you have a really ugly background. But I mean, after you spend like 16 hours on a project, like sitting at your desk for 16 hours straight, yeah, you kind of enjoy this background. It's not my exact background. I do 2 different shades of blue. It goes cyan and a lighter shade of cyan than orange. 2 of the same oranges on the bottom. It's really nice. I like it. No one else likes it except for when they come by and like, oh wow, that's pretty awesome. Like, yeah, you work like that? Yeah. Oh, they get real disappointed real quick. It's fun. But I don't know. This is a real good way to start doing stuff without using math at the first part. Like you could just start using proportions. Like, I'm not teaching you how to do design right now. I'm teaching you how to use the program. And so we went over rotation, panning, zooming, selecting, drag selecting, opposite drag selecting. You can rotate. It gets really confusing after a while. Like, you'll start noticing that your controls are inverted. So you just look at the bottom left. You see that Z is upside down. So you're like, okay, Z upside. Alright, cool. We learned how to draw stuff. We learned how to map quick buttons. Kind of learned how to do a planar surface. Like, if you want to make this into a surface, like, those are the outlines. Like, these are the outlines of the surface. You just type in planar surface, whatever. We learned that commands autofill when you're typing them in, so the closest result will always show up. So if you think of a command that you want to do, like, most of the commands are in there. Most words that you can think of, like operations, like, oh, I want to draw a line. Type in line. It'll give you a line. This is the line segment I told you not to map. Just click, and that's it. That's your line. Oh, this line's too big. I need to scale it down, so you type in scale. and then I messed that up. Type in scale, you click the base of the thing, and you click the other side. Then now it's going to go whatever length you want it to go. So you can just drag along here. So I want it like that long, wherever that point is. Now it's that long. Not hard at all, but you start getting into complications when you scale over here, right? You select that corner, you're like, oh, I want it that big. Like, oh, I only wanted it to scale in one direction. So then you're like, oh, so what would that mean? Scale, you type that in, you look at your list of scales. Like, oh, scale 1D. What does that mean? So you click there and there, and like, oh, that's what that means. It makes it just shorter that way. It doesn't change any other dimension, just in one direction it'll change the size. So it's really cool. Then you do that again, and now you got like another panel. So it's really cool. Really simple to use once you figure it out. Once you realize it's Photoshop, but with 3 dimensions, you're just like, ooh, that's me. And that's how I think about it. So anything you can think of, any type of thing, like you want to make a circle, right? Type in circle. That's already it. Now you go over here, you click the center of your circle, and the key is just learning where like the base of every shape that you're drawing starts. Like the circle, you have to remember that it starts in the center of it. So then you draw like, oh, maybe I only want to make a circle like, you know, it's up to here, radius to there. Cool. And maybe you want to make a circle that's as long as the line. So you need to start in the center of the circle. So you click the middle of that line and you go to the end of that line. Technically, that's considered like, you know, trig or geometry. You know, it's considered higher math if you were doing that. But you're visually doing it instead of with an equation. Yeah, you could type in an equation. You can type in all that stuff if you really wanted to. If you only had a data sheet, you could type in the command. It's 7.47. Like if you look in the upper left corner where it's all bold in the command line, you'll see that it says the last distance that you use. So you can type in 4.8 or 5 as I typed apparently. And then that's it. You're like, oh man, I really want this line offset. So you type in offset. It's like, oh whoa, look at all these offsets. That's cool. So you offset, and now you got an offset of that. See, isn't that cool? Like this program is just. This is how all CAD programs are, by the way. Like it's just whatever command you can think of, you can do it. AutoCAD, though, I do have to say, has the worst interface. You cannot use it. You cannot navigate it. You cannot scale something easily like I am. If you're a pro and a senior at using, if you've just been using AutoCAD your whole life, you're probably a lot better at modeling than I am. But let me tell you something. I've pressed a lot less buttons to do the same stuff. That's all that really matters at the end, because you don't want to get carpal tunnel, you don't want to get arthritis, you know, you don't want to get all these things that you can get that can ruin your career as being a typing guy. So, you know, figure out what your shortcuts are, figure out how to use your commands. You gotta do a lot of typing, I know. But just type in the stuff that you want to do. Like if you want to make like an octagon or something, try figuring out how to do that. You know, Google octagon in Rhino. How do you draw an octagon in Rhino? You can go right here, I think. Yeah, you can go right here. It's a Polygon Tool. It might look like a hexagon, but that's lying to you, because you can go up to here now at the top, at the command bar, and you can type, you can click on number sides. And, you know, octagon's 8 sides, so you type in 8, press enter. Now it says num sides 8. So you could do a bunch of other stuff too. I'm not going to do that. So now you can make your giant stop sign here. Right? Isn't that cool? There's a bunch of programs that work with it. You can type in export. It'll export it to different file formats. You just save it. You could save it to its own file, you know. There's a lot of things you can do with this, and that's the beauty of it. It's very versatile. Unlike other programs which are like, oh, it's just for this type of thing, it's just for modeling this, yada yada. Rhino is for everything. And that's what I love about it. AutoCAD has a 3D function. I don't remember exactly how to use it. I know it's bad. That's all I know. I just know all of AutoCAD is bad. But if you use it, go ahead, use it, get good at it, and buy a real 3D modeling software. It doesn't matter what you get, just as long as it's not AutoCAD, because everything has moved past AutoCAD. AutoCAD's stuck back in the 90s. Everyone else has moved on. So, you know, just practice these few things, figure out what shapes you can make. You can do your 2D stuff in 3D in the perspective tab. I really strongly suggest that you do it in your top view, But to each their own, you can do it wherever you want. Just, try making a bunch of shapes. Try drawing like a smiley face, like quick smiley face, this, select that, center that. We can do some long eyes. I never use this tool. I'll show you that. I never do that. What I do is I just go like this, and I just scale it. That's all I do. But this eye looks a lot better than the eye I just drew. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in mirror, and then it's going to mirror this across a plane. If you hold shift, then you can go on the axes and stuff. So you go like that, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. So now you have to make a happy face. So maybe we go in the center. We go down to like here. So now we can go like up a little. Maybe right there. Oops. So I'm going to copy, Control Z, and Control V, because now I have these two. So then we can trim this part, and now look, we got a happy face. We can Control Join to get that to be one thing. See, and then now we can make a creepy mask if we fill this in with the Poly Surface. Let's actually just go back to perspective. If we do this, nope, still didn't show you what I did. If we type in Poly Surface, we can do that. And then if we click all these little shapes on the inside, or we could just like do that and then click and then just trim out these shapes. Now we can export this and print it and then put it on our faces and be creepy. I don't suggest it, but you can. Like possibilities are endless. At this point, not really endless, just that. But you can draw stuff that you want. Just try drawing a bunch of stuff. Figure out how the program works. The best thing you can do is have a goal of what you want to do and do it in the program and figure out the steps that it takes you to get there. Figure out all the different steps it takes to get there. I could draw this smiley face 100 different ways. The way I did it is just the way that I found the simplest and the fastest at the moment. Give me another day, I could have probably done it a different way. Like this tool right here next to the Polyline. You can just do this and this. Now you got a really nasty smiley, see? It's all about how you use your commands and which commands you use and what you want to draw. You can figure it all out. If you want to fillet a curve, you can fillet a curve. Just click around and figure out how that command works. I mean, it's not... It's a lot of you, a lot less me. We'll go over like 3D modeling tips and stuff like that later. At the moment, we're going over 2D. All I can suggest is draw something 2D. Draw a dog. Draw a person. It's going to be hard, by the way, using basic shapes. Or you could try what I originally did, way back in the day before I even knew how to use any of this software, was I tried to model the South Park gang, I guess, which is a really, really useful exercise. To draw them, you need to do basic shapes. They have usually no 90-degree corners. You want to explode the object you're working with, and you don't need to, I think. What you can do is you can select the whole thing. You can type in fillet, or type in philo and mess it up. Fillet. Click this curve and that curve. Nope, you have to explode it. Okay. So you explode it. You type in fillet. You click this curve. You click that curve. Okay. You click. You want all that stuff. First curve to fillet. Second curve. Cool. I don't know how to use this program. This command. Join those. Fillet. What a good... Oh, wait. The radius is too small. Duh. Jeez, man. That's embarrassing. Alright, we're going to type in fillet. So this is a problem that you run into, kind of. So we're going to do like a 4. I don't know how big that is, but that seems like it's going to work. So you pick the first corner, second corner. Oh, there we go. That's noticeable. Then we're going to fillet again. We're going to click and click. Fillet again. No, that's not South Park. Yeah, that's South Park. Sure, whatever. At this point, let's just keep going. So now we have a rounded rectangle. It's different parts. You see the corners are its own thing because those are curves mixed with a line, which is technically a curve. You see it's like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 piece. Yeah, why did I need to count that out? It's 8-piece rounded rectangle. And you Control J, now you joined it together. You now have the basis of a South Park hat. You get a circle, go this midpoint, get into this midpoint, go all the way out right there, and drag it down. Bam! Now you have a head, a South Park head. See, and now you draw like another circle down here, like right here. Bring it up until like right there. Cut it off in the middle. Alright, now I'm just absorbed by what I'm doing. You got like a Cartman kinda. I'm trimming now. I'm going into advanced stuff, but you don't have to. I think they really just use another like rounded square thing here. This is not how I suggest doing it. I'm just trying to do it my fastest now. I think they have like usually a scarf on them and then like delete that. Anyway, that's a good one to figure out. Just try modeling not modeling, but try drawing up the South Park boys, and figure out how to draw them up. And if you can figure that out, you're pretty much going to know all the commands you really need to know. I guess that ends part 1. Maybe we'll go over another time how to do basic 3D work. I pretty much explained it this time, but who knows? Maybe you need to know some commands, or you need to make an object. I don't know how much more advanced we can get. We could basically just start eventually watching me design something, but I feel like a lot of people have asked me how to use 3D modeling programs, and I think that's a perfect opportunity to do it. So, you know, whatever. Thank you for watching. You can watch this on YouTube once it's uploaded. That's about it. I'm trying to think of an outro. I guess thank you guys for watching. Go check out our Facebook. If you just look up Last Room Standing on Facebook, look for the group, not the page. You could like the page too. If you leave us a like on the page, it'd not really help us out a lot, but you know, it helps. You can look for the group. The group is more active. We are constantly on there. We respond to comments. We talk to them. If you want a hand spinner, you can go to there. You can look up how to do it, or you can go over to SpinSpace, which is kind of the hub for all the hand spinning groups, and you can start talking to them. They like stuff. You like stuff. EDC people, we all like stuff. You can go pre-order one of our Axis Micros at the link. Go lastroomstanding.com. Just go to the Buy Our Stuff page and buy our stuff. What program is this? I feel like that's a new comment, but I could have missed that by hours. Oh, that's painful. I can't even turn on timestamps now because... Oh, I can. Yeah, I've missed that so long ago. Anyway, I'm using Rhino3D. Said that in the beginning, but, you know, ending it out. Rhino3D. Or Rhinoceros 3D. So follow our Facebook, go to our website, buy our stuff. Check out our Instagram, Last Room Standing. We have a Twitter too. That's not as active. That's actually not active. And that's about it. I mean, besides all that, I do designs. That's it. This has been Alex from Last Room Standing, and I guess I'll show you what to do next time. Or later. Who knows? Whatever. Outros are weird. I don't have anything to plug in really besides my own product, which I did. Thanks.